Well, howdy, folks, and welcome to another ride along. It's been a while since I've done one of these ride alongs, so got quite a few cases that we're going out on today. So I thought I would record a video for it as well while I'm heading out. We've got one, the primary investigation is a scoundrel hunting investigation, actually a locate investigation. I like to refer to them as scoundrel hunting. It's involving a major lawsuit that we have been working with our client on for some time, actually for over a year, trying to hunt down these two individuals, and we believe we might have some potential addresses for them. We also have multiple serves to get done today too. We have everything from collections to small claims to adoption papers that need to be served to a major lawsuit that we have to file, or we have to serve three defendants. Each one of these defendants is a business. Shouldn't be a problem, but each one of these packets is huge. They're about 100 pages in size for each defendant. So we have those all printed and collated and ready to take to them. And when I do get ones like that, I definitely do charge a printing fee. I charge 20 cents a page. So, it's not an astronomical amount of money, but we charge that 20 cents per page for printing on those big ones like that. Got a lot of construction around me right now. I kind of have to be careful. So we are heading to our first serve. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. And that one is actually on a collections small claims court one, and when I get there I will let you know what's going on. Okay, folks, we are just arriving at our first serve. This one is one that we've done before. We've served. I'm not 100% sure why, but for some reason they had to start a new case on it. So it's a new case, but the same client, same person. We did serve her before. I got to look at my cover sheet here. I make a cover sheet on all of my serves usually, so I have information, especially when I'm going out and doing 6 or 7 like today. And this one says can be substitute served to a co-occupant age 14 years old or older, which is good because I believe she has a son that resides with her. So this one is a small claims collection effort, and we're going to go see how this turns out, okay? Well, that one was a success. Walking back to my car, I actually had to park a little ways away because of all the cars, but that was a huge success. And the respondent, she was actually very happy to get the papers. I think it's a lawsuit against her and her ex-husband, and she's trying to get everything transferred over to just him. So anyway, I'm just getting back to the vehicle, and then we're going to put this into our software, record it, and then head over to the next one. Okay, we are got everything registered in software, and we are ready to go. I love using this software. I use Serve Manager. They're not a sponsor or anything like that, but I love them because I can record everything while I'm out in the field. If I need to upload photographs or anything, I can do that right there. It creates the affidavit for me when I get back, and it's just really slick software to use. Now, if you're not doing process serves, if you are a private investigator and you're not doing process serves, man, you are losing out on a lot of money. I'll tell you what, it's not my main gig. My main gig is private investigations, and we do all kinds of different investigations, but doing process serves, now I charge $95 a serve. So that's every paper I go out and drop, I get paid $95. And I do have some subcontractors that I use on occasion that I will have go out and do them, especially if it's in another town or something. But if I'm going out and I'm doing other stuff, I will usually do these myself. And like today, when I've got 6 or 7 papers to go out and do, and I know I can quickly get them done. That's $600-700, man, and that is a pretty good day. You add that on top of everything else that you're making, and it's literally going to take me an hour and a half, if that, from the time I left my office till I get home to get all these serves done. And when I get home, then of course I just, pull up the software, print all the affidavits, sign them, scan them, and email them off to the client. So it's really, really easy money. And if I sub it out, then I still charge the $95, but I pay my subs and I get the difference. But if you're not doing it, you should really consider doing it. And you can turn down jobs. If you don't want to do restraining orders, don't do restraining orders. I don't do a lot of rush stuff. I always ask them what are the papers they're trying to serve, who they're trying to serve, what's the address, so I can look things up while I'm talking to them on the phone. And if it's somebody that, they tell me it's Billy Joe Bob Smith, and I pull up Billy Joe Bob Smith on the county arrest records, and I see that this man's got, all these aggravated assault charges and all kinds of other things, maybe some warrants and stuff. I'm not taking that. Yeah, chances are the guy's not even going to answer the door, but I'm not coming out here to do any confrontational stuff. So it's like this next one that we're heading to right now. It is a serve that's for adoption. It's adoption papers. The gentleman is not aware that they're coming. He may not even be aware that this child is out there. I believe he is. It's actually 2 children. His ex is getting remarried, but I don't believe it's an ex-wife. I think it's an ex-girlfriend, and the kids were born about 12 to 14 years ago. So just taking the papers there. He's living with his parents. Another one of those, I have to double check my cover sheet, but I believe I can serve anybody age 14 or over that resides at the residence, and I believe it's his parents' house, so I will be able to serve them. And they're an older couple, so sometimes that's a surprise for them, when you hand them adoption papers for their child, for their grandchildren they may not have ever known about. But anyway, shouldn't be too confrontational, should be fairly easy, and I will let you know when we're getting a little closer on that one. Okay, so we are getting close to this next one up here. It's around the corner. And I remember I looked it up on the maps before I left, and it's a tricky one because it's just in a weird location. So as soon as I turn the corner, I'm literally going to have to park and pull into their driveway. And
in 1,000 feet, turn left.
That's my GPS telling me what I got to do in 1,000 feet. So I'm 1,000 feet away. I'm going to have to literally pull into their driveway. There's no street parking there, and then get out and do the serve. So I'll let you know what happens when I'm done with the serve. Well, this one was a bust. Well, it wasn't a bust. It was just a no-go. Nobody here at the residence. So we'll move on to the next one. There is a truck here parked in the driveway, so we do document that and the license plate number. Now we're going to be heading to the next one. It's one of the first of 3 businesses that are involved in a very large lawsuit that we're working with our client on. So shouldn't be too big of a problem. We've served this business before on other
in half a mile.
Situations.
Turn right on North 30th Avenue.
Make sure you always are using your GPS so you know where you're going to. I'll let you know how this one goes after we get there. Okay, well, that one turned out to be a bust too, sort of. Pretty interesting. It's a construction company, and it's at a residence. It's where a lot of these businesses are located. That's where they put down for their office. They just run their office out of their home, and that's fine. That's what I do. Anyway, a female answered, I believe, is the wife of the owner of the company, and she said, he's not here. Even though there's 2 vehicles in the driveway, one pickup, looks like a construction pickup. And I said, he's not, isn't that his pickup? And she said, no, that's his sister's. I said, well, when is he going to be here? And she says, oh, I don't know. And she wouldn't give me a lot of information. She says she's not involved with the company. Now, it is a summons, And normally I'd be able to serve a summons on, if it's going to an individual, I'd be able to serve that summons on anybody, on an adult family member at the residence. However, it's to a business, so I can't serve her on behalf of the business. Anyway, we're heading over now. We're really close to our first address for our scoundrel hunting, so I'll let you know how that goes. On this one, we're probably just going to drive through and see if we see vehicles associated or anything like that. So I'll let you know when we get there. Okay, we are approaching the next one. Now this one, this is the scoundrel hunting, the locate investigation that we were working. It is actually in a manufactured mobile home park or trailer park, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to have to find the lot that we're looking for. Let me find that real quick. We've got that. And I've got several vehicles that are identified with these subjects, and hopefully they're both in the same place. They've done a lot of expansion here, building on and stuff, so it might be a bit of a challenge finding the exact unit that I'm looking for, but I think all these new ones are on a different street. Yeah, they are. So I'll come in here. They do have maps up in these mobile home parks, but this is a really big one, and I can't make heads or tails out of most of those maps. I've done a lot of surveillance in the past on different individuals inside of here, so I'm a little familiar with it. So we're just going to drive around, and we're going to look and see if we can quickly find the address that we're looking for. And I was really hoping it was going to be right up at the front, but that may not necessarily be the case. So when I find it, I will let you know, okay? Okay, I think I'm getting close to where I need to be. There's lots of children out playing and all kinds of other things, which really gets a person nervous when they're looking for something, because you're looking all around, looking like the suspicious guy, you know. I suppose it just look like I'm trying to deliver a package. What I need to do is find a way for me. Yep, it's going to be back behind me. I need to come up here. I need to pull up my sheet with my vehicles on there, and just so I know that, I'll fold this in half so I've got it handy. This is very handy too. I've got a cul-de-sac here. There's probably 500 or more, maybe more like 700 or 800 mobile homes in this mobile home park, and that's one of the nicer mobile home parks in the area, to be sure. But there's an awful lot, and so there's a lot of kids outside playing. There's a lot of adults outside doing things. There's people working on cars, and a lot of traffic, and it is a little nerve-wracking. But I saw an address back here on one that should be theoretically right next door to the one that I'm looking for. So we're gonna come up here and check it out. And it's on this street. Okay, I found it. And it has a different vehicle in it, I believe. So I'm gonna pull back around, get a picture of the vehicle. It also had a sign with a name on the front porch, which is really nice. So we're gonna get a picture of that as well. I'll be right back after I do all of this. I got a picture taken and stuff. A lot of people back in there looking at me. Kind of weird and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. The address number was right, but it's got a different street that it's on. So in here they have like A Street, B Street, C Street, things like that. And I'm looking for one in particular street, and what I was on back there was not. It was much higher in the alphabet. So I'm just going to continue down I believe is this street, just to make sure that there's not another one with the same address in it. Now, I think the trailer court has one address as a whole, and then they have different street addresses inside here. So they go, all the way from like A to Z or something like that, and the street addresses. So it is a bit confusing. There were some maintenance people that just went past me, but they didn't pay no attention. They just kept on going their way. But as I'm circling back around, this does look like it's kind of heading back towards where I found that original address. This one, it's hard to say. I believe the subjects are still there, even though there's a different name on a sign. Their vehicles that they recently registered come back to this address. That could just be a relative or something like that. It's kind of hard to say, but got to keep looking at all the addresses and stuff. But I pulled all the vehicles and everything, and we'll just have to see how it all pans out here. Well, I went all the way back around that other way, and it just did end up back at that other one. So that was the only one with that address in here. There's another potential address that has the same last two numbers in the address that did come up in one of our data sets. I have a feeling it was probably just a typo. It just came up in one, but so it has the same last two numbers in the address, but different. The first numbers are different. So we're going to check that. And that's just a challenge if you do surveillance or anything in these trailer courts. It is a big challenge to try to find people in there, especially if they're hiding from you. So you have to do a little hunting down. And these two individuals are from Mexico, and they may not be that easy to find. They are here legally. They do have vehicles registered to them and things like that. But I've found a lot of times, especially when they owe lots of people money or anything like that, it can be very difficult to find people. And go down this street too. It can be very difficult to find them. They don't make it easy to find them. And unfortunately, regardless of what country you're from, a lot of people do that if they have a lot of people looking for them. And I did run them and find a lot of outstanding court cases for them. So there's a lot of people suing them for money and stuff. So there's a lot of different individuals that are looking for them. But I am not even finding the first numbers for this other one. And so it may not. And then again, I just saw it in one of my data sets as a potential address, but then this other address came up. And the way the data sets come up is they'll give you a time frame of when it had seen activity of the individual at an address. And this other address that I'm looking for right now, it actually showed them there for 1 month only. And it might have just been 1 day only, 1 month. So yeah, the addresses in here don't even go that high. I am going to go into the newer section that we have up here just to double check. But I think those all may be different addresses, but we're going to double check those. And ouch. We're going to double check those and see what we come up with. And we'll pull in here and we'll see what we have. See what the addresses are. There are a whole nother set of numbers. Okay, I'm going to drive around through here. Okay, I am seeing a lot of similar numbers now, so we're going to be coming up to another one. It's got, I believe, the same address as the other place. And that's why I'm saying is you can't always tell. They just saw back there another one that had the right street name on there. So we're up here just a few houses away. Let's see what we see. And this is it right here. Just going to pull over. There's no vehicles right there. It just has a welcome sign. There are no vehicles there, but I'll bet, given some other information that I have, this is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to grab a picture and I'll be right back. Okay, I believe that this is their address. What I was able to do was I grabbed a snapshot. There's no pictures there. It does have a welcome sign on the front, but I was able to go to the county website and I was able to see the model number of the mobile home that's supposed to be at this lot. And this is a fairly new area. This was just built like a year ago. and it does look like it's that, but I was also able to tell on the county website, because mobile homes here in Colorado are treated like vehicles. I was also able to pull that VIN number, and that VIN number for that mobile home is registered to both of the subjects that we're looking for. So that was a big plus. Let me tell you what, that means they're both probably here. The client's going to be very happy. Now I am going to have to find a place to pull over. We've got a couple more serves that were going on. I've got to get them punched into my GPS and get heading over to them. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got that punched into my GPS. I had a low tire alert came on my vehicle, so I thought I'd better double check that. I don't want to be going all over. It's not low. It's that time of the year, you know. It's 11 degrees this morning at my house. It's supposed to get up to around 60. We have these huge temperature fluctuations here, so when that happens, that left low tire light or whatever, it says left rear tire right now, but it'll come on, and it's probably a little low. When I get back to the house, I've got a compressor in the garage. I'll fill it up, but it looks okay. Anyway, we're heading back out on this other one. It's a serve. It's another one of those businesses. So it's actually, though, in another town. So it's about 25 minutes away from where we're at right now. And hopefully, now looking at the address, I did not pull this one up on a map. A lot of times with businesses, I just go with whatever address I have when I go out, because you assume somebody's going to be home at the business. In fact, in most states, Colorado is one of them. In most states, the registered agent for a business is supposed to be available through regular business hours, Monday through Friday, to be able to accept papers. But this one looks like it might be an address too, so we'll have to see. And then we got one more after that, and I think that's a financial institution. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know when we get closer here. We have so many roundabouts here anymore. What do you guys think about roundabouts? I just have to ask. Just go down in the comments and let me know, what do you really think about roundabouts? How do you feel about that? I used to hate them. I do know that they do serve a good purpose. They do enhance safety many times, but just so many of them going around and around and around. This is one of those roads that used to be out in the middle of nowhere, and I used to be able to drive down this road and 55, 60 miles an hour without a care in the world. And now there's all kinds of roundabouts and new development around and everything like that. Anyway, sorry for the rant. I'll get off my soapbox, but let me know, what do you think about roundabouts? I was just wondering, what do you charge for your process serves if you do it? And if you're not comfortable with that, obviously you don't have to tell me, but go down in the comments if you're comfortable and let me know. A lot of people are like, well, why would you tell people what you charge? And my routine fees are $95. They're like, aren't you worried about your competition? Here is the big secret that you've been waiting for the entire video. My competitors are, I am sure, aware of what I charge. They should be, if they're running their business, with any kind of diligence, and they should be shopping me to know what I am charging. And I can guarantee you, I know what all of my competitors charge. And here's the big thing. When it comes to process serving, I know that I am the highest price process server out there. No doubt about it. I am the highest price process server out there. But here's the thing. What I do is I sell a premium product, a premium service at a competitive rate. And I answer my phone. That's really the big thing. I answer my phone. I tell them what the price is, and my spiel is simply, absolutely, we can take care of you. What we charge is $95 for a routine service. That's the first attempt within 3 business days. We do a total of 3 attempts for you, and that includes the affidavit of service once it's complete that we will send to you, that you will have to send over to the court. All you need to do, if you grab a pencil and paper, or pencil and paper, yep, pen and paper, whatever, I'll give you an email address. You can jot that down, scan the documents, email them over to us. After we receive it, we will send you an invoice. After that invoice is taken care of and we have the documents, we will schedule that for you and get it done. And then I say, do you have your pencil and paper handy? And they'll say yes, and I give them my email address for them to email the documents over. And then I say, and I can text you that too. They're, oh, that'd be great, that'd be nice. And I text that to them. 90% of the time, if they write down my email address, they're going to send me the documents. It's simply not worth it to call around to save $10. And I just love it when I get an attorney that just will argue with me. It's like, oh, my regular process server only charges blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, well, how come you're not using your regular process server? And I just eat up a bunch of their time. And then when we get done, I say, well, now what do you charge per hour? Because you've been talking to me for 20 minutes. I'm sure you're going to charge your client. So, your regular process server or somebody else, you're going to save $10, but now you're going to charge your client for all this time just hunting for a process server. And that goes even if they have a paralegal or an office assistant or something like that, they're still utilizing time. And yeah, they might be a salaried individual, but they're still utilizing time that they're not doing other things and making money in other ways. And to be quite honest, those clients that are just looking for the lowest price, I probably don't want them anyway. They're going to be the ones that are going to have a big problem if we're not able to successfully serve the individual, if we come up with a bad address, if nobody answers, things like that. The lowest priced or those clients willing to pay only the lowest dollar amount, the ones that are looking for the best financial deal, are usually the ones that are the biggest pains in the rear as well. And I just rather not deal with them. I like to be able to just deal with clients that have a reasonable expectation of our services. And one of the things too, when we send that invoice out to them, it has a disclaimer in that, and it says, by paying this invoice you agree to, and then it has some quick little disclaimers. We do not guarantee service. We do, things like that. And I don't have it all memorized, but it just has a few little things in there. And that's sort of a contract, they paid and it was right there in the invoice. So they have agreed. It states, we're going to make our first attempt in X amount of days. We're going to do so many attempts, and we do not guarantee service, and things like that. So they kind of know when they pay that invoice what they're getting into, or they definitely should. It's just right there. It's not in fine print or anything. It's right there in regular text at the bottom of the invoice. Anyway, that's it. How do you handle those? And are you always going after the low ball? And for me, I might be able to get more serves at $50, let's say. But to make $500, I have to do 10 serves. Where if I'm charging $100, I have to do 5 serves. So, I can work twice as hard for the same amount of money because it's not the volume. And there's all the ancillary work too. It's not just going out and delivering the papers. It's putting it into the system. You got to enter it into some kind of a system. It's creating the affidavit. It's signing the affidavit, scanning the affidavit, emailing the affidavit, mailing the original back to the client, and things like that. So there's a lot of things, the front end and the back end, that you know a lot of people don't even think about. They just think about, well, if it's $50, if I could drop 20 papers a night, you know, let's do the math. That's a lot of money, and it is. But you can get into a lot of burnout, and I'd rather work for half. Or you know, work for half of the clients and charge double the price, because I don't have all that extra work. Okay, enough of my rant again. I'll let you know when we're getting close to this next one. Another quick educational piece for you is make sure you put your address in your GPS and make sure that you are watching your GPS. So I'm heading to another city. Like I said, that's about 20 miles away from the last city that I was in. I'm in between right now. I'm about 7 miles away, 6-7 miles away from the residence right now. But I was actually just driving to that town the way I would normally drive, and I was recording some of these video pieces and stuff. And I turned the volume down so it didn't annoy you guys and everything like that. And then I get done with that last bit, and a little later I bring up my GPS again, and it's telling me to get over to another highway. I'm like, what the heck? And I looked, and again, I big mistake on my part. I did not look at all of these addresses. I looked at most of them, but I did not look at all of these addresses on my computer, and I definitely should have looked at all of them. Then I would have known that I needed to head on this highway, not the highway over there. There's multiple highways that go into that town. So I was actually several miles out of the way, going several miles out of the way. And I would have got there eventually, even going that way. But man, I tell you what, if you can learn anything at all from me about that, you want to do that. That does cut into your hourly rate. I know I charge $95 per serve. I like to try to maintain it so I make at least $100 to $150 an hour while I'm out here, and that's a lot of money. I know that, but it makes it worthwhile because I have to make up for all the time that I have to sit in my office and do all the paperwork and answer the phones and do the sales and things like that. So this cuts into my average hourly pay for the day, because these are set fees. I don't on serves. I don't get to charge them for all my silly little mistakes. But we're almost there. We're probably about 4 or 5 miles away. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to pull up my GPS and make sure I end up at the right place. Well, it's another bust, if you can imagine that. Another residential address, multi-million-dollar house, beautiful, huge, beautiful, big house. And of course, nobody's home. I could see inside. There was no lights on inside. There was a dog barking. Didn't hear anybody trying to hush the dog or anything like that. One vehicle in the parking lot or in the driveway. And I, of course, record that for my serve. So not doing really good today. We'll have to see, if we can get 2 of the 5 or 3 of the 5 done. We've got one more to go do here, another business. It's back on the other end of the other town that we're in, so it's about 20 minutes away. It's been quite the morning for me. I really expected, because these were all businesses, even though I knew they're probably residential addresses, I really expected to get someone to answer the door. I think we've actually served all of these businesses in the past on unrelated cases. So anyway, we're going to head back over to this other one, and we'll see how it goes, and I will let you know. Okay, we are close to this next serve. This next one is a financial institution. Should not be a problem. I always say that they shouldn't be a problem. This is why you don't ever go by what the customer says. Had one the other day contact me and said, this one should be pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And then when I got to looking at what he was telling me, I said, no, it's not going to be really straightforward or really simple. But, and none of them are all the time. I mean, some are, like the first one we went to. Now, that one I did have to ring the doorbell several times, and I've been there before. And the problem is she has a dog, and her dog starts barking, and then the neighbor, it's an apartment, and then the neighbor, he gets a little rowdy. It's an older guy, an old grumpy guy, And so what he'll do is he'll open up the window right next to where I'm standing and let his big old German Shepherd jump up in the window and start barking at me. And it's just like, really, dude? What are you doing? But anyway, I thought I heard somebody inside the apartment I was serving shushing the dog, because the dog would go bark, bark, and then I'd hear something and then stop. And then I'd ring the doorbell and do it again. And then finally I heard her say, oh, I wonder. But then when she answered the door, she was really happy to get the papers. Again, it's a lawsuit against her and her ex-husband, and there was something in there that made her happy because they must have just changed it to him or did something. I don't know exactly what all was in it. I don't read it all in depth. But anyway, that one was fairly straightforward, but a lot of times you have to go out 2 or 3 times. Financial institutions, banks, things like that, usually you walk in and somebody there is going to accept the papers if that's where they are registered with the Secretary of State. Now, if they're not, then that could create a lot of problems. A lot of corporations and a lot of financial institutions will have a registered agent, and a lot of times it'll be a law firm or somebody like that, and you have to go there and you have to serve the registered agent. If you try to just walk into any national bank like a Chase Bank or a Bank of America and serve documents, they're just going to turn you away, and they can turn you away. You can try to just drop the papers and run, but it's probably not good service. If you're talking to just one of the regular clerks there, you're not talking to somebody in management that can accept papers, it's not a good serve. Just because you left it there doesn't mean it's a good serve. I did not double check this one to make sure it was their address, but I've worked with this law firm many times, and they're very good at doing their due diligence and sending me to the right addresses. And it is a local bank too. It's not a big national bank, so I'm pretty sure I will be able to just serve somebody there from management. So we're almost there. I will let you know how it goes when I get done. Well, that one went pretty well, folks. As it does with most of these. Go up to the front desk. You tell them you've got some legal papers to serve to them, and you talk with a member of management. She had to find somebody. She went upstairs and wasn't able to get his attention, but she sent him a message or something on the computer, and that got to him, and he came down right away and he took the documents. You have to get the name of the individual and their title. I'll put that all into the affidavit. It just indicates that it was properly served to somebody in management that could accept those documents. Sometimes you got to wait around a little bit with large corporations if they accept the papers on site. Anymore, most of them don't, but they'll have a registered agent. You have to serve them there. But a lot of times you have to wait for somebody from legal or a member of management. What I fear a lot of times, this was right about 12:30 in the afternoon, I fear that the one person that could accept the papers will be at lunch. And I kind of let my software create this route for me. That's a nice thing with Serve Manager. When you have a bunch of them, it will create a route for you if you want it to, and if you follow it, it works really well. If you go off driving down your own road, then you're on your own. But so it had put it last, so it's a little closer to my home office. So we're heading back to the home office. We've got a few more. I may go a few more to go out and redo. I may go out this evening and try them. If I do, I might record those and add them to this video. I might not be able to if it's dark. You guys don't really want to see me sitting in the dark. You wouldn't see me sitting in the dark. You just hear me sitting in the dark. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not. I know that one before this one, I was over in another town. I might just pass that on to another process server that actually works in that area a lot. I always recommend have a contract process server and have contract private investigators at your disposal as well should you ever get busy. With my process serve business, it's probably about 20% of my total income for the company, 20 to 25%, nothing to sneeze at. But if I get real busy with investigations and bug sweeps and other things like that, I don't always have the time to go out. So I have some process servers that I subcontract with, and I still just charge the same price, and I give them a cut of it. And sometimes they'll call me and ask me if I can do something if they know it's really close to where I live, and I'm willing to help them out. I don't get my full price then. I get 40 or 50 bucks or whatever, but I'm happy to try to help them out too. It's good to have those partnerships in business. You shouldn't look at all of your competition merely as competition, but a lot of times you guys can help each other. Now, if I have big law firms that are sending me stuff, I try not to send that to too many of my subs, because some of my subs, obviously they need to eat and they need to pay their mortgage, and they're not just working for me, so they have other people that they do serves for, and some of them are law firms, and I don't want to risk giving out the name of my lawsuit or my attorney, not my lawsuit, the name of my attorney, whom I'm working for and stuff like that, and potentially risk losing them. Now, I do have a couple of subs that I've used for years, and I know they will never go after my clients. I would never go after their clients. We just we've known each other long enough that we have that trust. But the average person out there, I probably would be really worried about. But a lot of the serves we get are what I call one-offs. So the phone rings, it's a law firm out of Denver or Albuquerque or New York or Florida or wherever, and they have somebody up here they need served, and so they're one-offs, and I don't mind sending those on to subs, because that company's probably not going to hire me again unless they just need to serve somebody a second time for the same case or something like that. It doesn't, most of those I never hear back from them again. Anyway, let me know what you think about these videos too. Go down in the comments and let me know, do you enjoy these? I really do like doing them. Now today I spent about an hour and a half out there doing what was it, 5 serves, 6 serves, something like that, and the skip trace, and or not the skip trace, the locate. And that all seemed pretty fruitful. On the locate, we didn't for sure ID that the person is there, but I'm pretty sure that with the information that I was able to gather just sitting there in my car and looking at that house, that it's probably where my subjects are residing. So that's really good to know that. So I'll be able to close that one out most likely today and see where the client wants to go. I know he has papers, or he's going to take them to court, so he's going to have papers that we're going to be running over there and trying to serve them there too. And so some days this is the way it goes. You just go out and you think it's all going to go pretty well. I knew it was going to take me about an hour and a half to make all these runs, and you always risk that you're not going to get them all done. But that's the thing, though, with process serving. You want to keep answering the phone and keep getting more, because if you always have 3 to 5 serves on your desk, then when you go out, chances are when I get back, I'll have some more in my inbox, and I'll be able to put those in and invoice them. And then when I go out this evening, if I go out this evening to do a second attempt on some of these that we didn't get today, then I can go out and I can add those to my list, and I make a bigger route. So what I try to do is whenever I go out, I have 5, 6, 7 things that I'm going out for, and eventually, I'm going to get them all, or not. We do 3 attempts, and if we can't get it done in 3 attempts, it's not our fault. We give the client an affidavit of non-service, and if they want us to continue trying, then they'll pay us to continue trying. And as long as you're doing due diligence and stuff, making sure you're doing good efforts, they'll rehire you to try to reserve. Now, we run a better than 90% success on serves if we have a good address. And I always put that caveat in, and I tell my clients if it's a good address. If you provide us a bad address, well, I can't serve the guy at a bad address. We go there and they, we answer and they're like, oh no, we just moved in 6 months ago, and they give us their names and we're able to confirm that yeah, these people probably did just move in 6 months ago. It's a bad address. There's nothing we can do. But if it's a good address, we're probably 95% success rate. There are those that are ducking serves. If they're ducking service, that's going to require surveillance or a lot more effort to go out, and it's going to be a lot more than just a regular standard serve. But if you're not doing serves, I would suggest consider doing them. It's really easy money. I know some can seem confrontational, people get mad, but most of the time people just like this guy at the bank. The bank is named in the lawsuit, and he's just thumbing through and saying, no, okay, well, thanks a lot. They're a lot more professional. Now, when you get to small businesses and stuff, they might be mad. But most of them understand that we're just delivering papers. And that's what I say. I don't know what it's about. I don't know anything about it. I'm just delivering the papers. And they're like, oh, yeah, I understand. In fact, at that bank, at that financial facility, while I was waiting for the guy to come down, I asked if I could use their restroom facilities because I'd been driving around, and they allowed me to do that. And she's like, oh, yeah, go ahead. And, which made it nice being my last stop. Anyway, that's about it for this one, unless I add more on. And you will know that if there's a lot more left to this video. Okay, folks, well, here it is after supper time. I guess this is a nice thing with the time change and stuff. It is light later, so we're heading back out on these serves. And I might swing by that one where we're doing that locate investigation now, just to see if any of the known associated vehicles are there. So we've got 3 serves that we're doing. I didn't get any more in that I can go out on yet. I require prepayment on all of my serves. So when they call, I give them a quote. They a lot of times will send me the documents. I ask them to send me the documents. They send them to me. I put them in our system, then send an invoice. So waiting for payment on some things, and sometimes that takes a little bit for somebody to get back home or whatever and get back to the office and do a payment. So we've got the adoption paper one and 2 businesses, and they were the 2 businesses that were at residences. So hopefully those individuals are home. I did a little more research on those, and the owners of those businesses are definitely associated with those residences. So as far as ownership and stuff like that, so they should be there. So I'm going to the adoption one first, and I will let you know how that goes when I get there. Okay, well, we got to the 3rd one, and guess what? It was a bust, too. I'll take that off so you can see my bald head there. Nobody home. And I was actually talking to another process server while I was driving over here, and he's been having the same issue this week, and it dawned on both of us. It's spring break here, so a lot of people may just be gone for spring break. Now, in the last one that we were at, and that guy was just at work. He was out of town, but he was just at work out of town. Anyway, this one, no answer, so we got our 2 attempts in. I was thinking about that one where the brother had arrived there, and I wanted to caution you on when you run into situations like that, because I've known some process servers, and I have even known a PI or 2 to get in big hot water with the court systems out here because they didn't do things properly. So that serve is on a corporation. So that has to be served to an officer of the corporation, a manager, somebody like that. It can't be served on on the spouse of one of those individuals. So that's why I couldn't serve the wife, and that's why I couldn't serve the brother. And I asked both of them, are you part of the company? And they said no. And I do believe the wife probably is not part of the company, because her car was in the driveway and it actually had some signs for another business that is probably associated to her. So, she's probably running her own little business. He's running his own business. So I couldn't serve her for him. And some people might be tempted to just leave him with the wife. Or in this case, I called the guy that I'm trying to serve, and he said, well, just leave him there with my brother. And I could have done that, but it wouldn't have been a good serve. The problem being is I have to serve, somebody that's associated in management with the company. So if I put on the affidavit that I served the brother, the client is going to come back and say, well, that's not a good serve. This client happens to be an attorney, and I know it's not a good serve too. And they're absolutely right. It's not a good serve. And if I put that I served the individual personally, then if it comes back, it comes back on me, and I've perjured myself. And I have seen individuals where an entire county court system has disallowed a process server. We'll turn on a light here and see if that helps you guys be able to see me a little bit there. Get a little bit of light. It's getting dark out here. So it's very important that you do the right thing no matter what. I have heard of stories, and I have actually had some people that worked for me in the past that did what we call drop the papers. So they'll go out and they'll door knock 1, door knock 2. On door knock 3, they'll just leave the papers there, and they'll put that it was personally served. And that is bad form. I know a lot of times if you got a large collection company or something that you're doing them for, they'll say, post it to the door or something like that. So I would put that in my affidavit that I posted it to the door, but I would never put that I served the person individually. It just gets you in all kinds of hot water. And let's face it, we all deserve due process in law when it comes our turn to be involved. We don't know when that's going to happen. It's probably going to happen at some point, but you don't want the laws to be skewed or changed just to make it convenient for somebody else. Now, for me, I go out and I do 3 attempts. On these ones, I might do 4. It's a good client, so I might end up doing 4. But then I just say we can continue trying, and then if they want to, then I bill them again. And what I'd probably do then is have one of my subcontract process servers try those attempts, just so there's a different set of eyes on there, a different face at the front door, things like that. Sometimes that just seems to make it all work. But I would just put a big caution out there. If you get into process serving, and I highly encourage people to get into process serving, but learn the laws of your state. There's probably a state process server association or a state PI association that can help you understand all of the laws involved. There are a lot, but it's not that difficult. I actually have made up a cheat sheet that I have in my office that tells me what kind of papers out of district court, what kind of papers out of county court have to be served in what time frames, and who can be served, and all of these different things. It's just important to know that, and remember, you're part of the legal system. And but you can make really good money, so I would highly suggest that you consider doing that. And hey, if you're enjoying this video, first of all, please go down and hit that thumbs up. These videos take a lot of editing time. They take a lot of brain power while I'm out here driving around doing the work. But hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and then check out this video on the screen right here.